I'm going to show you how to set up a custom quick links web part using SharePoint and JSON formatting. Everyone wants to make navigation easier for their users, give them access to other resources without having to search for it. That's what these quick links are really all about. I'm going to show you how to set this up, where to get it, how it works, and then I'm also going to show you how to customize this thing to make this your own. Let's get into it. So this sample comes from my favorite place to get samples from Microsoft 365, the M365 Empower Platform GitHub repo. You've seen me use a lot of samples from here before for JSON formatting, but there's also Power Platform samples. There's all sorts of samples. Even if you're a developer, there's SharePoint Framework samples. So this is a great source to get a head start on a particular project so you don't have to create everything from scratch. And this example is called honeycomb links because, as you can see in the screenshot, these little quick links look like honeycombs. But that's not the only shape you can use, and I'll show you that in a minute. You can see that on the view requirements, all we really need are 3 simple fields, and one is already provided out of the box, the title field, of course. The other 2 are URL and icon, just single line of text fields, and that's just going to hold the URL that a user will go to when they click on that link, and then the icon from Fluent UI, so you don't even have to create the graphics for this thing. You can just specify an image name from the Fluent UI library and get something that looks just like this. Now this sample was added about 9 months ago, as you can see up in the top right, but there's some that were just added weeks ago. So definitely check this thing out if you haven't been onto this site in a while or ever. And one of the great things about the JSON formatting one in particular, but it really applies to all of them. If you're already involved with JSON formatting, this is a great place to learn different techniques for some of these different JSON attributes. If you're brand new to JSON formatting and you're seeing these kind of solutions and you're trying to learn this from the beginning, well, I've got a course that just went live today that walks you through the whole process of JSON formatting, even what JSON is. There's information down below in the description if you want to see more information about that course, but let's start setting this thing up. So the first thing we need to do is make a list that's going to house this data. So I'm just going to go into site contents. We'll create a new list called quick links. Now I'm going to add these new columns that we need right here with this add column button. Obviously this doesn't add it to the content type itself. So in a production scenario, I would still recommend using a content type. I've made videos on building out content types and all the features of that, or you can grab my free guide in the video description for some additional information. So let's just create this first column. These are both going to be single lines of text. This is going to be URL, and let's make this required. And our second one, again, a single line of text. This will be icon. And it's important to call these column names URL and icon specifically, just because the JSON formatting is referencing the columns by that name. But you could honestly call these whatever you would like, as long as you update the references in the JSON. We'll require this. So now let's start populating this with data. So for the icon, what we need to do is grab the Fluent UI icon name. A quick website for that is flicon.io, and we can search for Teams maybe, and we can find a Teams logo right here. So we'll hit a little copy icon, which copies this name right here. That's all we actually need to reference this icon is just this. So we'll paste this icon into here and save it. And now let's build out a whole bunch more. And there's a whole lot of icons in here. You could sort them by category, or you can just do what I do and just start typing in different things to try and find something that would match what you're trying to create in here. This looks like it's a good web type icon, so let's just copy that one. Maybe we link this one to the HR site. Okay, so I've got 6 in here now. You want at least 5 to see how this works because there's something special that happens once you get more than 5. Now what we need to do is create a brand new view so that we can put in our custom JSON. So I'm going to create a new view. We'll call this quick links. We'll leave it as a list. And then we're going to go into format the view, advanced mode like we always do. And then we go back to GitHub. We can click on this JSON file and get the JSON that we need. There's a copy button right here. And then we'll just delete everything in here and paste it in. Now let's preview this, and there is our honeycomb. That looks pretty good. We could change icons around if we need to because it's just list data. You can always go back to the all items view and change anything that you need to. But then we have our nice quick view here. So let's add this to our intranet. I'm going to go back up to the intranet. Let's edit the page. And maybe right below this carousel, we'll add it in. We're just going to add a list web part. That's all we really need for this. So you're going to edit the web part, and then for the view, we're just going to switch it to quick links. We can also toggle the command bar and the see all just to remove all of that to clean up the interface a little bit. And let's republish and take a look at what we've got. So we've got our quick links here, and you notice they're wrapping after 5 elements. That was why I said to create more than 5 just to see how that looks. This will create rows of icons and kind of stagger the rows a little bit so everything fits very nicely on the screen. What if we wanted this to go past 5 items per row? We can do that. I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to talk about some of the other customizations in a minute that we can do for this. But let's take a look at this JSON and see how this whole thing works. So you see, according to the schema, this is using a row formatter. It's setting up a couple of generic things right off the bat, like hide selection, hide column header, and then we're defining the row formatter. And you'll see we're creating a couple of divs, and we're setting positioning using the left and top CSS properties. You'll see a number of references to 5 here in these expressions. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here. These are some of the references that you'll need to update if you want to show more than 5 items, or maybe you want to show less than 5 items. So if you're going to be changing the amount of items on each of these rows, then you want to make sure any of these references like that are all in the expressions. They're not anywhere else but those expressions. Make sure those are updated, and you can adjust how many of those you want to put on the row. So a lot of these expressions aren't very complex, but they are doing a lot of math to control the positioning on the screen. You'll see here we're creating the anchor tag, which is our hyperlink itself. This is the clickable element. It's referencing the URL field here. You see target is equal to _blank. So this is going to open in a new tab, which is always nice if you're sending someone to some other location, especially if it's outside of SharePoint, so that you're not kicking them out of SharePoint. It's just opening a new tab. That's always a nice convenience thing and best practice. Then you'll see another element here inside the anchor tag. As one of the children, we're creating an SVG, a scalable vector graphic. That is that honeycomb image you see over here behind all of the text and images. If you remember, we didn't create or upload any image to be this hexagon. It's all created on the fly by the browser using a scalable vector graphic. And that's what this confusing string of letters and numbers over here is. That's the actual drawing path for that hexagon. Don't ask me what it means. I've got no idea. I don't do SVGs, but if you do, then you probably understand what this thing is doing. And here's another point where we can customize this. If you want a different shape, all you really have to do is come up with a brand new SVG or find one on the internet or take an image. Maybe your company logo would work well with this. You can convert that to an SVG and get the string from that SVG and put it right here in the JSON. Now, you're going to want something fairly simple. You're going to want something that doesn't have a lot of detail on the inside of it so that our icon and the text will stand out. But other than that, go crazy. Try out whatever you'd like for this SVG and just see what you can come up with. And all that's really left on this JSON is the div that's going to be housing our icon and text. You can see right here, pulling in the icon value from that particular list item, and then the title further down below. And that's really all there is to this JSON. It's really simple. There's not a lot there, but it is a good starting point for making this your own. Maybe you want to extend it out to 6 icons, or you want to change things around and maybe not have the icon at all. Maybe you just want text. All you would have to do is delete the particular child element. In this case, maybe the icon, you delete that, and then there's nothing but text left. You may have to adjust a little bit, like some CSS properties, to get it to position just right. But just to demonstrate how easy this would be, let's go change this from 5 icons across to 6. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to go to the view that we need to update. Switch over to quick links, and then let's go back into the formatting. So I've mentioned before, you're going to have to find the references to 5 in the expressions and change it to 6, since we want to change it to 6 columns. And let's see if there's any more down here. Nope, that should be it. Let's preview and see. There we go. Now we've got 6 on a row. Let's save this and see how it looks on the homepage. We have to do a Control F5. There we go. So now we've got 6. So depending on how many of these icons you're going to be displaying, maybe it does make sense to stretch this out a little bit more across the screen so that you can bring up the content below it for a more condensed view. So what did you think about this? I think this is a really neat feature to add to your intranet to enhance things, improve that user experience, make it look flashy. It's definitely not something that's out of the box, which is what a lot of people like. They like something that doesn't look like SharePoint, basically. And I get requests all the time for something that's completely custom. They want it to look unique. And this was an ultra simple way to get a custom looking quick links on an intranet with no coding, really. The most we had to do was copy and paste. And at that point, you can start tweaking and making this your own. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this, what you would do to change this and make it your own. One thing that I've seen with other quick links web parts that I think would be really cool to do is to have an animation so that these little tiles will flip around and show more text about what this link is going to take you to. Kind of a coin style feature. But what do you think? And if you want to see another great JSON solution, then click over into this video and let's start going through that one as well. JSON is such a powerful tool and it's very simple to learn. Anyone can do it. If I can do it, then I know you can do it.